first question will say that the cash price of a car is $13,000. Marta pays an installment for this car. So she pays a deposit of 15% of the cash price. So let's find that. 15% of the cash price. That is going to equal to 1,950. Then she pays 24 monthly installments of 500. So that's going to be 24 times 500. That's going to equal $14,000. So now total amount is going to be your deposit plus the monthly installments. So now that means we're going to add the two values that we just calculated, 1950, which was the deposit amount, and monthly installment, which is 14,000. So when you add the two, what you should get is $13,950. Then it says the price of phone is reduced by 12% in a sale. So the sale price of the phone is $286. You have to calculate the price of the phone before the sale. So if 286 is the sale price and the sale price has been reduced by 12%, that means 286 is your 88% of original price. So that means 286 equals to 88 over 100 times x. X is the original price. 286 times 100 divided by 88. And that is going to give us $325. That is your original price. The exchange rate between dollars and pounds is given as $1 equals to 0.71 pounds. Then the exchange rate between euros and pounds is given as €1 equals to 0.87 pounds. They're asking us to calculate the exchange rate between dollars and euros. So what we're going to do is we're going to find the value for 1 pound for dollars and euros. 1 pound would equal to 1 over 0.71 dollars. One pound would equal to 1 over 0.71 dollars. And for the euros, 1 pound would equal to 1 over 0.87 euros. So if we put both of these equal to each other, because both equal to 1 pound, so 1 over 0.71 dollars equal to 1 over 0.87 euros. So we have to find the value of how much $1 equal to in euros. So that means we're going to do $1 equals to 0.71 divided by 0.87. And that is going to give us 0.82 euros. So that is your answer, correct to 2 decimal places. In the next part, it says that Samuel invests $1,500 in an account paying 1.9% per year compound interest. So let's make a equation for that first. So Samuel is doing 1,500 times 1 plus 1.9 over 100 to the power of 5. Because the time period is 5 years for both of them, they have the same interest rate, have the same principal amount, but Samuel has compound interest and Nina has simple interest. So compound interest has the formula of compound interest principal amount times 1 plus r. R is the rate of interest to the power of t. Simple interest has the formula of principal amount times r times t. So PRT. So we have the equation for Sam. The Nina invests $1,500 in an account paying 1.9% per year simple interest. So for Nina, it's going to be 1,500 times 1.9 over 100 times 5. So now for the value of Samuel's investment, that is going to be 1,648.02. And for Nina, her interest amount is going to be 142.5. This is the final amount for Samuel. This is the interest amount for Nina. So final amount for Nina is going to be the sum of 1,500 and 142.5, which is basically going to equal to 1,642.5. So now that we have the final amounts of both Sam and Nina, we need to figure out how much more money does Samuel have in his account than Nina has in hers after the 5 years, which means we will subtract the two values. So 1648.02 minus 1642.5, and that is going to give us $5.52. So this is the extra money that Samuel has in his account compared to Nina's. So this is your final answer. A group of 80 students each completed a task. The table shows the time, t minutes each student took to complete the task. So we have the class intervals for time, and we have the corresponding frequency. They want us to draw the cumulative frequency graph to represent the information. So let's find the cumulative frequency first. So it starts with 10, and then we add 10 and 20, which is going to give us 30. Then we add 30 and 34, which is going to give us 64. Then we add 64 and 12, which is going to give us 76. And then we add 76 and 4, which is going to give us 80. To make sure that the cumulative frequency values are correct, always cross-check your final value with the given frequency value. So if the given total frequency value matches with your final cumulative frequency value, that means your values are correct. If it doesn't match, that means you did something wrong, you added the wrong number or missed some value. So this is your test for checking whether your cumulative frequency values are correct or not. So going back to the graph, the cumulative frequency values are going to be on the y-axis and the class intervals are going to be on the x-axis. So for 10, we're going to make it over here. For 20, sorry, for 30, it's going to be this one, yeah. This. Then for 60 to 80, that's going to be 70 over here. And 30 and 64. This is your 64. And then 90 and 76. $76. And lastly, 80 and 110. That is going to be your value over here. Okay. So now that we've plotted all of our points that connect the dots, starting from 20, this is going to be our graph. Starting from 20 and going on till 120 over here. The next part is asking us to find the median and the interquartile range. So for the median, let me just erase all of this. Median is going to be first half of 80, which is going to give us 40. So I have to find the 40th value. So I'm gonna do 40. That's approximately 52, 54, 56, 57 actually. According to my graph, I'm getting 57. So your median value is 57. That is your Q2. Then to find your interquartile range, we need to find the upper quartile and lower quartile. So for the lower quartile, we will do 1/4 of 80, which is the 20th value. So let's go to 20. I'm getting 38. That is your Q1. And for upper quartile, I'm going to find 3/4 of 80, which is going to be your 60th value. So that's going to be 68. So Q3 is 68. So that means interquartile range is going to be the difference of Q3 and Q1, which is 68 minus 38, and I'm getting 30 for my interquartile range. Part B is a group of 160 adults, each completed the same task. The table shows the number of errors made by each of these adults. So we have the number of errors and the corresponding frequency. They're asking us to calculate the mean of this. So mean is going to be sigma fx over sigma f. X is number of errors and f is frequency. So in the numerator, we're going to find the sum of the product of frequency and number of errors, which means I'm going to do 0 times 24 plus 1 times 30 plus 2 times 50 plus 3 times 32 plus 4 times 16 and lastly 5 times 8. And this entire thing is going to be divided by our total frequency, which is given as 168. So all of this is going to equal to 2.06. You'll just plug this in the calculator and you have the exact same answer. One of the adults is selected at random. Find the probability that this adult made more than 3 errors. So more than 3 errors is basically going to be this. So the probability of more than 3 errors is 16 plus 8, which is the number of people who made more than 3 errors, divided by the total number of people, which is 160. So that's 24 over 160, which can be simplified to 3 over 20. Two of the adults are selected at random. Find the probability that each made exactly 1 error. So if each made exactly 1 error, so that's going to be from this. So what we're going to do is we're going to say 30 over 160, because from all those 30 people, one of those people is selected right now. So that means 30 out of 160, and then 29 out of 159. Why? Because we've already selected one person from those 30 people. And if we've already selected one person, that means one less person would be in the total as well. So what's left now from this slot is 29 people, and overall people are now 159. Hence 30 over 160 times 29 over 159, which is going to equal to 29 over 848. That is your answer. Complete the table for y equals to x over 4 plus 2 over x. The values of y are given correct to 2 decimal places where appropriate. And we have to find the value of y when x is 7. So we do y equals to 7 over 4 plus 2 over 4. And that will equal 2.25. Now in part B, we have to draw the graph of this equation on the grid below. So let's plot the points now. First one is 0.5 and 4.13. So 0.5 is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And 4.13 is going to be somewhere over here. So I'm gonna choose this point. Then it says 1.2 and 21 and 2.25. Two point two five is 1, 2. Somewhere around here. So let's erase the lines. Then 2 and 1.5. This is your point. 3, 1.42. This grid is so tiny. 1, 4, 2, somewhere over here. So let's erase this. 4 and 1.5. That is over here. 5 and 1.65. Six and 1.83. God, it's gonna take ages to finish this graph. 1.83 is going to be and lastly 7 and 2.25. So 1, 2, gonna be at this point. Yep. Okay. So now let's connect the dots. That is a graph. By drawing the tangent, estimate the gradient of y equals to x over 4 plus 2 over x when x equals to 1. Okay, so let's draw a line at x equals to 1. So we draw a line over here. So gradient at this point is going to be, I'm going to pick 2 points. This point over here, which was 1 and 2.25. And let's pick this point over here. So that's going to be 1.1234, 1.4 over here. And 1.8 over here. So this point over here is 1.8 and 1.4. So let's find the gradient of these points. So that's going to be 2.25 minus 1.4 divided by 1 minus 1.8. That's going to give us negative 1.0625, which can be rounded to negative 1.06. On the grid, draw the graph of 2y plus x equals to 6. 2y plus x equals to 6. Put x equals to 0 first, and that's going to give us 2y plus 0 equals to 6. And y is going to be 6 divided by 2, which is 3. So one point we have over here is 0, 3. Then we put y equals to 0. That's going to be 2 times 0 plus x equals to 6, which gives us x equals to 0. So another point is going to be 6, 0. So let's plot these 2 points. So 0, 3 is over here. 0, 3 is over here. And 6, 0 is over here. That is a line of 2y. That is a line of 2y plus x equals to 6. Then it's asking us to write on the x coordinates of the points of intersection of the graph of 2y plus x equals to 6 and y equals to x over 4 plus 2 over x. So let's go back to the graph. Points of intersection are these points over here, this and this. So one point we're getting over here as one is 0.7 and the other is 3.2. These are the x coordinates for the points of intersection between the graph of the curve and the line. So in the third part, it says that these x coordinates are the solutions of the equation 3x squared plus ax plus b equals to 0. Use 2y plus x equals to 6 and y equals to x over 4 plus 2 over x to find the value of a and the value of b. So what we're going to do is we're going to put these two equations equal to each other. But when I say equal to each other, I'm going to equate the variables. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to first make y the subject in the first equation. So we have 2y plus x equals to 6, which will be y equals to 6 minus x over 2. So I'm going to substitute this into the second equation. So let's call this the first equation. This is the third equation. And this is your second equation. So let's put these two equal to each other. 6 minus x over 2 equals to x over 4 plus 2 over x. So that's going to be 6 minus x over 2 equals to 4x and x squared plus 8 as the numerator. Cross multiply. 4x times 6 minus x equals to 2 times x squared plus 8, which will give us 24x minus 4x squared equals to 2x squared plus 16. Bring everything on one side, so 0 equals to 2x squared plus 4x squared minus 24x plus 16. That's going to be 0 equals to 6x squared minus 24x plus 16. So if you look at the equation in the question, that's 3x squared plus ax plus b. That means we need to divide the entire thing by 2, which will give us 3x squared minus 12x plus 8, which means a is negative 12 and b is 8. That is your final answer for this one. Question 4 says the volume of a sphere has the formula 4 over 3 pi r cube, and the surface area of a sphere has the formula 4 pi r square. The diagram shows a composite shape where a cylinder has been joined to a hemisphere. The diameter of the cylinder is 9 centimeter and the height is 16 centimeters. The volume of the sphere is equal to the volume of the cylinder. So we have to show that the radius of the hemisphere is 7.86 centimeter, correct to 2 decimal places. So what we'll start with is using the volume of the sphere is the volume of the cylinder, which is pi r square h. Pi times 9 over 2. Since 9 is the diameter, so the radius is going to be half of it, times 16, which is pi times 81 over 4. That's pi times 81 times 4. And that is going to equal 324 pi. I'm going to keep it in terms of pi right now. Then volume of sphere is 4 over 3 pi r cubed. But since we're trying to find the volume of a hemisphere, volume of hemisphere is going to be half the volume of the sphere. So that's going to be 2 over 3 pi r cubed. So we're going to put 324 pi equal to 2 over 3 pi r cubed. 324 pi times 3 over 2 pi is equal to r cubed. Pi gets cancelled out, 2 becomes 1, and that becomes 162. So 162 times 3 is 486. I'm going to take the cube root on both sides to get rid of the cube on r. So 486 cube root is equal to 7.86 centimeters. Correct to 2 decimal places. Then it says calculate the total surface area of the solid. So to calculate the total surface area, first look at the surfaces that we have. Let's start with the sphere first. Sphere has a total surface area of 4 pi r square. Hemisphere will include this and this. So let's start with finding the area of this part first. So I'm going to color code this. This is going to be half of 4 pi r square. So 2 pi, and r is 7.86, which we just found. So 7.86 whole square. This is going to equal to 388.17 centimeters square. Now I'm going to find the area of this part over here. So that's going to be the difference of the circle bottom on the cylinder and the top face of the hemisphere. So I'm going to call this area, and that's going to be pi times 7.86 square minus pi times 4.5 square. 4.5 is basically the radius of this circle. 9 divided by 2, 4.5. So this will give us 130.46 centimeters square. Now next, I'm going to find the area of the cylinder. So for the cylinder, your surface area is pi r square plus 2 pi r h. Normally, you must have seen that the surface of cylinder is 2 pi r square plus 2 pi r h. But in this question, since only one of the faces is exposed of the cylinder, which is the top circle face, so that means the surface area of this cylinder would be this circle, and then the curved surface area. So that's 2 pi r h. So we do pi times 4.5 square plus 2 pi times 4.5 times 16. So all of this equals to 516.01 centimeters square. Now we go to the total surface area. Total surface area. That equals to the sum of 516.01 plus 388.17 plus 130.46. And that's going to equal 1034.6 centimeters square. That is your total surface area of this composite 3D shape. A different solid is in the shape of a cuboid. The cuboid measures 8 by 4 by 6 centimeters. These measurements are given to the nearest centimeter. We have to calculate the lower bound of this cuboid. We have to calculate the lower bound of the volume of this cuboid. So it says that the measurements are correct to the nearest centimeter. So let's find the degree of accuracy first. To find the degree of accuracy, we divide whatever the measurements are like nearest to by 2. So since it's nearest to centimeter, so 1 divided by 2 is going to be 0.5. Now lower bound of the measurements is going to be 8 minus 0.5, then 4 minus 0.5, And lastly, 6 minus 0.5. So one lower bound is 7.5 centimeters. The other is 3.5 centimeters. And last one is 5.5 centimeters. So since we have the lower bound of all of the lengths of the cuboid, we can easily find the lower bound of the volume now. It is going to be the product of 7.5, 3.5, and 5.5. And all of this is going to equal to 144.38 centimeter cube. That is your lower bound of the volume of this cuboid. Geeta has n stamps. Ravi has twice as many stamps as Geeta. So let's write this down. Geeta is n. Ravi is 2n. And Sanjay is 7 fewer stamps than Ravi. So 2n minus 7. Altogether, the 3 children have 108 stamps. So n plus 2n plus 2n minus 7 equals to 108. Form an equation, which we've already done, and then solve it to find the number of stamps Sanjay has. So add them up. 5n minus 7 equals to 108. Isolate 5n. So 108 plus 7 is going to equal to 115. So now n equals to 115 divided by 5, which is going to be 23. So they asked us the number of stamps Sanjay has. So Sanjay will have 2 times 23 minus 7, which is going to equal to 39 stamps. Simplify 6t squared times v cube divided by 5 divided by 3t squared over v squared. So we'll take the reciprocal of the second fraction and turn division into multiplication. So we'll have v squared over 3t squared. As we can see, there's a t squared over here. 3 ones are 3, 3 twos are 6. So 2 over 5 times v to the power of 3 plus 2. As you remember, when we are multiplying two similar bases, the powers get added. That's going to be v to the power of 5. So answer is 2v to the power of 5 over 5. Simplify x squared minus 16 over 3x squared plus 10x minus 8. We have two quadratic equations, but both of them will be solved differently. If you look at the first one, this is your difference of perfect squares. Difference of perfect squares mean that a square minus b square will equal to a minus b times a plus b. What we have is x squared minus 16. X is being squared and 16 is 4 square. So this will be rewritten as x minus 4 times x plus 4. So we have the numerator factorized, x minus 4 times x plus 4. Now moving on to the denominator, which is 3x squared plus 10x minus 8. So let's factorize this now. 3x squared plus 10x minus 8. We're going to do middle term breakage. Middle term breakage is basically us like replacing the middle term with like two other numbers and then factorizing the entire thing. So we start with multiplying the coefficient of x squared and our constant. So we're going to multiply these two. So 3 times negative 8 is going to give us negative 24. So now factors of negative 24 are 12 times 2, 24 times 1, 8 times 3, and 6 times 4. Now from this list of factors, we have to pick that pair which when added or subtracted gives the middle term. which is this one. So if you look at the factors of 24, we have to pick that pair of factors which when added or subtracted gives 10x. We know 24 times 1 is not valid, 8 times 3 is also not valid, but 12 times 2 and 6 times 4 does match because 6 plus 4 is 10 and 12 minus 2 is also 10. But which one do we choose? I will choose 12 and 2. Why? Because when you replace 3x squared, when you replace 10x with 12x minus 2x minus 8, and when you factorize it, we get 3x bracket x plus 4, and then minus 2 bracket x plus 4, which gives us x plus 4 times 3x minus 2. If we had chosen 6 plus 4, I'm going to show you that as well. So we would have 3x squared plus 6x plus 4x minus 8. So now 3x common, so x plus 2. And over here, plus 4 common, so x minus 2. As you can see, x plus 2 and x minus 2 are completely different. So we can't further factorize it by taking it common. Whereas in the case of 12 and 2, x plus 4 and x plus 4 were the same with both 3x and minus 2. So we were able to take that common and further factorize it and give 3x minus 2 as the other factor. That is exactly why we took 12 and 2 and not 6 and 4. So just going to erase that. And over here, these are our factors. So if we rewrite the entire thing as a fraction again, x is f of x equals to 4 times 2 minus x, and g of x is 7 minus 3x over 5. Find f of negative 5. So we'll do f of negative 5, just going to be 4 times 2 minus negative 5, which is 4 times 2 plus 5. That is 4 times 7, and that is 28. Then it says solve the inequality f of x is greater than 3. So 4 times 2 minus x is greater than 3. 2 minus x is greater than 3 over 4. Minus x is greater than 3 over 4 minus 2, which is 3 minus 8 over 4. That's negative 5 over 4. So since we have negative signs on both the sides, to get rid of signs, I'm going to divide both sides by negative 1. And what that will do is that will flip the inequality and make this 5 over 4. So now x is less than 5 over 4. Always remember that the variable that you're trying to find the value of, if that is negative, to make it positive, you will divide both sides by negatives. You will divide both sides by negative 1, or like whatever the coefficient is of the variable. And what that would do is that would change the inequality. So if it's greater than, it would become less than, and vice versa. Part C says find the inverse of x. So put f of x equal to y. That would mean y equals to 4 times 2 minus x. Divide y by 4. So y over 4 equals to 2 minus x. And then swap x with y over 4. So x equals to 2 minus y over 4. And replace x with f inverse x and y with x. That is it. That's your inverse. Find f of p times g of 2p plus 1. So g was 7 minus 3x over 5. And f of x was 4 times 2 minus x. So f of p is going to be 4 times 2 minus p. Basically, we're replacing the domain x with p now. and the domain of G is now 2p plus 1. So that's going to be 7 minus 3 times 2p plus 1. The entire x is getting replaced by 2p plus 1. I expand the bracket. That's going to be 4 times 2 and 4 times negative p, which is going to give us 8 minus 4p equals to, multiply 7 with 5, that's going to be 35. Multiply negative 3 with 2p and 1. So that's going to give us negative 6p minus 3 over 5. Now cross multiply 5 with 8 and minus 4p to get rid of the fraction. So 5 times 8 minus 4p equals to 35 minus 3, which is 32 minus 6p. That's going to be 40 minus 20p. Next, what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring the like terms on each side. So it's going to be 40 minus 32 equals to negative 6p plus 20p. 40 minus 32 is going to be 8. If 6p plus 20p is 14p, so 8 over 14, which can be simplified to 4 over 7. That is your value of p. Question 7 says the diagram shows part of an n-sided regular polygon ABCDEFGH. DCF and EFC equals to 24. Find the value of n. So for the value of n, these two angles are already given as 24. So what I'm going to say is that I'm going to start with finding the value of angle D, which is going to be 360 minus 2 times 24 divided by 2. Why? Because if we highlight these lines over here, CD, DE, EF, and CF, this is a quadrilateral. Two angles of the quadrilateral are given, which are 24, and the other two which are not given are actually the same. So sum of angles for quadrilateral is 360. So I do 360 minus 2 times 24 divided by 2, which is going to give us 156 degrees. That is your angle D and angle E. 156. So that's your interior angle of this polygon. To find the number of sides, I will do 156 equal to n minus 2 times 180 over n. This is the formula for finding one interior angle of a regular sided polygon. So 156 times n equals to 180n minus 360. 360 equals to 180n minus 156n, which is going to give us 24n. So 360 is divided by 24, find the value of n, which is basically going to be 15. So this regular polygon has 15 sides. Find HFG. So we have to find connect this. I have to find this angle over here. So to find this angle, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do 180 minus 156 divided by 2. Why? Because we already found the interior angle of this polygon, which was 156. So this angle G is also 156. And since it's a regular sided polygon, that means this length is equal to this length, which means triangle GFH is an isosceles triangle. Hence, these two angles are also going to be equal to each other. So angle HFD is going to be 180 minus 156 divided by 2, which is going to equal to 12 degrees. That is your answer. Part B says PQRS is a parallelogram. TU and SQ intersect at X and TU is parallel to QR. TQ divided by PT equals to UR over SU equals to 1 over 2. Show that triangle PQS is similar to triangle TQX. Give reason for each statement you make. Let's highlight the triangles first. TQX is similar to triangle PQS. So these two triangles are similar. And how do we prove it? Firstly, angle Q is common. First reason. Second reason is going to be that since we're dealing with parallel lines, that means this angle and this angle are corresponding angles. So angle PSQ is equal to angle TXQ because corresponding angles. Whenever we have parallel lines, just refresh all of your angle properties in parallel lines and try to see which one matches with the given information. Then once again, if we look at angle P and angle T, that is also the same because once again we're dealing with parallel lines. So angle SPQ is equal to angle XTQ because corresponding angles again. Another thing you could have said was that since the other two angles are equal, so the third angle would also be equal because sum of angles is 180. So if we subtract the other two angles from 180, we will get the same values for angle P and T. So you can use that reasoning as well if you couldn't click on the corresponding angles one while you're solving the paper. Find the ratio SX is to SQ. So let's highlight these now. SX and SQ. Okay. So we know that TQ over PT is basically 1 over 2. So TQ is 1 and PT they're saying is 2. Same for this, which means the entire length of this parallelogram is equal to 3. Okay. Length of PQ is 3 and we're trying to find the ratio of SX to SQ. So that means SX will be 2 and SQ, the entire length would be 3 again. So SX to SQ is going to be 2 ratio 3. Why? Because as we said earlier that PQS is similar to TQX. So if they're similar, that means the length are also somewhat similar. So TQ over PT we have as 1 over 2. So this is in the ratio of 1 is to 2. So if PT is 2 and TQ is 1, that means PQ is going to be 3. So now if we use the ratios again for the triangles XTQ and SPQ, if we say TQ over PQ is similar to XQ over SQ. TQ is the length of triangle XTQ. PQ is the length of the triangle SPQ. So the ratio of that is equal to the ratio of XQ over SQ. So TQ is 1, PQ is 3. So that means XQ over SQ is equal to 1 over 3. Which means if this is 1 and this entire thing is 3, so SX would be 2. Hence, SX ratio SQ is going to be 2 ratio 3 because SX is 2 and SQ is 3. The next part it says find the ratio of the area of triangle TQX to area of parallelogram PQRS. If we go back to this, we said this is 1, this is 2, this is 1, this is 2 again, and this entire is 3. So now if we look at the area of triangle TQX, that's going to be 1 over 2 times your base times your height. This is also going to be 1 because if you look at the ratio of the measurements, SQ is 3, SP is 3, and PQ is also 3. So for the smaller triangle, XQ is 1, PQ is 1, XT is also going to be 1. That's going to be 1 over 2 times 1 times 1, which is going to be 1 over 2 units square. For the parallelogram PQRS, it's going to be 3 times 3, which is going to be 9 units square. So ratio is going to be 1 over 2 ratio 9, which is basically 1 ratio 18. To get rid of the fraction, we multiply both terms by 2, and that leaves us with 1 ratio 18. That is your answer. Question number 8 says h is the point negative 74 and hj is 10 negative 6. Calculate the magnitude of hj. So to calculate the magnitude of hj, we will do 10 square plus negative 6 square whole square root, which is going to be 100 plus 36. Square root of 136 is going to give us 11.7. Then it says given that hk is 3 times hj, find the coordinates of point k. So we're going to do ok minus oh equals to 3 times hj. ok is what we have to find. And oh is given as negative 7 and 4. This is 3 times hj, which is 10 negative 6. So let's bring OH on the other side and make OK the subject. That's going to be over here 30 and negative 18 and plus negative 7 and 4, which is going to be now 30 minus 7 and negative 18 plus 4, which is going to give us 30 minus 7 is 23 and negative 18 plus 4 is negative 14. So coordinates of k are 23 and negative 14. B says the diagram shows a parallelogram OBCE. OA is P, OE is Q. AD is parallel to OE. OA is to OB is 1 ratio 3. X is a point on BC such that BX to XC is 3 ratio 2. Expressed as simply as possible in terms of P and or Q, OC, AX, and EX. So OC is basically this. So the root I'm going to take is from O to E, and then from E to C. Since it's a parallelogram, OA is P, so ED would also be P. OE is Q, so this would also be Q, like the entire BC. It says OAs to AB is 1:3, which means this is 3P. Hence, this would also be 3P. So OC is going to be Q plus P plus 3P. We went from OE to ED to DC. OE plus ED plus DC. So that's Q plus 4P. That is your vector OC. Then it says find AX. So for AX, this is AX. Once again, we know this is 3P. And we have been told that BX to XC is 3:2. So 3, 2. That means BX would be 3/5 of Q, because entire BC would be the sum of 3 and 2, which is 5. So 3/5 of Q. So we're going to take the root of AB plus BX to reach AX. So I'm going to do AB plus BX, which is going to be 3P plus 3/5 Q. That is your answer for this. Then it says EX. So EX is this one over here. Once again, we know this is P, this is 3P, and this is going to be 2/5 of Q. Because as we did earlier, this was 3, this was 2, the entire thing is 5, so 2/5 of Q. So the root over here is going to be EC plus CX. So EX is going to be EC plus CX. So it's going to P plus 3P plus -2/5 of Q. Why negative? Because OE is in this direction and CX is in the opposite direction. So the sign changes. That's going to be 4P minus 2/5 of Q. That is your EX. And question 9 says in triangle ABC, AC is 6.4, BC is 9.5, and angle BAC is 79. Calculate angle ABC. So we're trying to find this angle. So for this angle, in order for us to find this, we can see that we have one complete set of angle and side. And for the other side, we have the angle, we have the side, and we need to find the angle. So we can use the sine rule, where we can say 9.5 over sine 79 is equal to 6.4 over sine of angle B. So it's going to be sine of angle B equals to 6.4 times sine 79 divided by 9.5. Angle B is going to be sine inverse of this entire thing, which will basically equal to 0.6613. Take sine inverse of this. That's going to be 41.4 degrees. That is your angle B. Then it says calculate the area of triangle ABC. So to calculate the area of triangle ABC, you need two lengths and an angle between it. Why? Because it's a non-right angle triangle. And non-right angle triangles have the formula of 1 over 2 AB sine of angle C. So we know this is 41.4, and we can easily calculate this one because if you look at this angle, it is between two given lengths. So we can do for angle C 180 minus 79 minus 41.4. So that is going to give us 59.9. And now we can easily use this angle to find the area of this triangle by saying 1 over 2 times 6.4 times 9.5. Call this A, call this B, and this is our angle C, times sine of 59.9. That is going to give us 26.3 centimeter square. That is the area of this non-right angle triangle. If it was a right angle triangle, you could have easily done 1 over 2 times base into height. But since it's not a right angle triangle, so you will use this formula over here. Part B says the same triangle ABC forms the horizontal base of a pyramid ABCD. BD is 9.8, CD is 8.2, angle BAD equals to angle CAD, which is 90 degrees. Calculate the angle BDC. So in order to find triangle BDC, I'm going to first highlight the triangle. So if you look at the triangle BDC, they're asking us to find this angle, angle D. So remember, when you have in a non-right angle triangle, all three faces, remember that in a non-right angle triangle, if all three lengths are given and they want us to find one of the unknown angles, we will use cosine rule. The cosine rule in this case is going to be cos of angle D equals 9.8 square plus 8.2 square minus 9.5 square divided by 2 times 9.8 times 8.2. If there's still any confusion, basically the formula we're using is cos of theta, or in this case cos of angle, which is D, it's going to be your BD square plus CD square minus BC square divided by 2 times BD times CD. This is a formula that we used. So I'm going to solve this now. This entire thing is going to equal to 9.8 square plus 8.2 square minus 9.5 square is 73.03 divided by 2 times 9.8 times 8.2. That's 160.72. So angle D is going to be cos inverse of this. And that is going to give us 63 degrees. Then it says calculate the angle of elevation of D from C. The triangle in focus is going to be this one now. And as you can see, this is a right angle triangle. And the angle we're focusing on is this. This is your angle of elevation of D from C. So we have the hypotenuse and we have the adjacent, which means you can use the cosine rule. cos of C equals to 6.4 divided by 8.2. So C is going to equal to cos inverse of this fraction, and that will give us 38.7 degrees. This is your angle of elevation of D from C. Question 10 says Amira drives 40 kilometers to work. Amira takes X minutes to drive the first 30 kilometers of the journey. Show that her average speed in kilometers per hour for the first 30 kilometers of the journey is 1800 over X. So she's taking X minutes. Average speed has the formula of distance over time. Distance over here is 30 and time is X minutes. So since they want the average speed in kilometers per hour, our time is going to be X over 60. So if we rewrite this, 30 divided by X over 60 is basically 30 times 60 over X, which when we further solve is 1800 over X. So this is your speed in kilometers per hour. If they were saying kilometers per minute, then it would be 30 over X. Amira's average speed in kilometers per hour for the final 10 kilometers of the journey is 600 over X minus 25. Her average speed for the first 30 kilometers of the journey is 8 kilometers per hour slower than her average speed for the final 10 kilometers. Form an equation in X and show that it simplifies to X squared plus 125X minus 5,625 equals to 0. So her average speed for the first 30 kilometers, which we found as 1800 over X, is 8 kilometers slower than her average speed for the final 10 kilometers. So that means we subtract 8 from 600 over X minus 25. This is our equation, and we're going to further solve it and simplify it to create this quadratic equation. So it's going to be 1800 over X equal to X minus 25 with 600 minus 8 times X minus 25 as the numerator. Then we cross multiply to get rid of the fraction. 1800 times X minus 25 equals to X times 600 minus 8X plus 8 times 25, which is going to be 200. Further simplified, 1800 times X is 1800X minus 1800 times 25, which is 45,000, equals to 600 plus 200 is 800. Then it's going to be 1800X minus 45,000 equals to 800X minus 8X squared. Now let's break everything to one side. So that's going to be 800X plus 1800X minus 800X minus 45,000, and all this is equal to 0. 8X squared plus 1000X minus 45,000. So let's divide everything by 8, and that will give us X squared plus 125X minus 5,625, which is exactly what the equation in the question is. So remember to simplify this by dividing this by 8. Now it says solve the equation and basically show your answers correct to one decimal place. So since it already clarifies that the answer is going to be a decimal, which means we will use the quadratic formula to solve this equation. X equals to negative b plus minus square root of b square minus 4ac over 2a. A is 1, which is the coefficient of x square. B is the coefficient of x, which is 125. And C is your constant, which is negative 5,625. Let's substitute these. Negative 125 plus minus square root of 125 square minus 4 times 1 times negative 5,625 divided by 2 times 1. This will equal negative 125 plus minus 125 square minus 4 times negative 5,625 will give us 38,125 divided by 2. So if we square root that, that will equal 195.26. So one value would be negative 125 plus 195.26 divided by 2, which will give us 35.1, and the other value would be negative 125 minus 195.26 divided by 2, which will equal negative 160.1. That's your x value. Then it says it takes a meter 25 minutes less to drive the final 10 kilometers than it takes for the first 30 kilometers. Calculate her average speed in kilometers per hour for the whole journey. So obviously your x value cannot be negative because x represents your time, which means we will choose x equals to 35.1 as our time. So it says that it takes 25 minutes less to drive the final 10 kilometers than it takes for the first 30 kilometers. We have to calculate the average speed for the entire journey. So average speed is going to be, distance is going to be 10 plus 30, which is 40. And time will be now 35.1 plus 35.1 minus 25. Why? Because it says it takes a meter 25 minutes less to drive the final 10 kilometers than it takes her to for the first 30 kilometers. So that's why for the first 30 kilometers, your time is 35.1. And for your 10 kilometers, your time is 35.1 minus 25. And this entire thing is going to be divided by 60, because once again, this time is in minutes and we have to give it in hours. So to make it more simpler, I'm going to do it separately over here so that you understand. For the final 10 kilometers, your time is going to be 35.1 minus 25 over 60. That will give us 0.1683 hours. Then for the first 30 kilometers, your time is going to be 35.1 over 60. 0.585 hours. So that's going to be 40 over sum of 0.1683 and 0.585. That's going to be 0.7533, and 40 divided by that, 53.1. So 53.1 kilometers per hour is your average speed for the entire journey. If the blue part doesn't make sense, just look at the pink part, because I've split the time and like how we convert it into hours and what's the time for the final 10 kilometers and 30 kilometers, like separately. So that's easy to understand what is happening in the denominator over here.